Alright, so just as a show of hands here real quick, how many of us can remember a time when gas was higher in price, $3, $4? Anybody? Alright, got some hands. So, while I wasn't old enough to drive at that point, or really understand the difference in value between $2.99 and $3.99 for a gallon of gas, I was old enough to understand that by my mom's colorful language, it wasn't a good thing. Now, throughout my research of the low cost of gas and its effect on the shale oil industry, and really the economy as a whole, I've come up with a few points that I'm going to kind of shed some light on here today for you guys. Now, why you guys should be interested in this is because depending on how the shale oil industry recovers from where it's at today, it could have a large effect on the economy that we're going to inherit as we step from our college years into the workforce here in the next few years. Some of the things I'm going to talk about today are the short-term benefits of low cost of gas and really who that benefits. And then I'm going to go into the shale oil boom itself and talk about how it kind of originated and how it got itself into trouble. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about some of the potential benefits to the economy that the shale oil industry could bring. So to kind of kick things off, let's go back to something we're used to, low gas prices. Now, of course, low gas prices are great in the eyes of the consumer. It's putting more money in our pockets, and I'm sure as college students, we're going to save that money. We're going to invest in stocks, build our portfolios. No, we're not going to do any of that. We're going to buy a new iPhone probably, maybe get the new Xbox game we wanted. We're going to go out and spend it. And the thing is, many Americans are just like us. They're going to go out and spend it. If you're a family man, you might spend it on an appliance such as a washer or dryer, maybe a refrigerator, maybe something on an infomercial you thought was cool. Some people do it. Now, the problem with that is you're only supporting two groups of people in the US. You're supporting the upper class and you're supporting the lower class. Now, if you think about that, who's getting paid to make those luxury items such as a washer, dryer, refrigerator? You're paying high engineers to design and make these things, and then you're paying low-paid factory workers in order to develop them. What we're missing is the middle class. Now, the middle class is very important because as our economy kind of continues to recover, we're going to go through some ups and downs. And the government's going to look to the middle class in those times, in those down times, in order to stabilize us. And that kind of leads me into my next point. While we're creating jobs for the upper class and the lower class, we're missing out one key thing, the middle class jobs. And the shale oil industry's decline has affected those tremendously. So to kind of go into the shale oil industry and kind of just what happened, in the early 2000s it was discovered that we could extract oil from shale rock formations. Now, the US happens to have a large abundance of these formations, and we took advantage of it. Because it was a cash cow, many people jumped on the bandwagon for it, and many investors kind of tried to get their piece of it. In order for shale oil to be economical, it has to sell for about $70 a barrel, and during its peak it was going for about $110 to $120. So there was a lot of money in the industry. And even in my research, I came across an article from the Elsevier Science Journal and its article, Evidence from Shale Gas Revolution, and I found that nearly 6 million barrels per day was being added to the US oil production from shale oil alone. Now, that is just tremendous when you think about it. And it's also actually what got it into trouble, because as we started getting this huge amount of supply, it's what caused our gas prices to go down. And when that happened, the prices per barrel dropped, and you got down to nearly $40, $50 a barrel, and it became very hard for these producers to remain profitable. When this happened, many investors pulled out, and like any other business, they had to do what they had to do to stay on their feet. And so what they do, they let many Americans go. Just in the town of Midland, Texas alone, who was at one time, I believe the leading city in annual income per household at about $83,000, they now are experiencing job losses annually from about $125,000 to $175,000. And that's from Time Magazine's article, Texas Takes a Hit. And so because we're having these job losses, that kind of leads me into my final point that I'm going to talk about today, the long-term effects that the shale oil industry could have on our economy. Now, shale oil job potential is huge. In Time Magazine's article, The Cost of Cheap Gas, it was estimated that nearly 10 million jobs and $400 billion in annual economic wealth depend in some way on the shale oil boom. Now, as you can see from the numbers that I gave on job losses just in a small area of Texas, we have rigs and production facilities all over the US, so we are losing millions of jobs right there. Now, if we bring those back, we are not only gaining back those jobs, but those rigs and those production facilities that are in, maybe some smaller areas in the U.S., they're going to serve as a beacon, and that will not only bring businesses there, but that will create employment, thus boosting our economy as a whole. And so really, the low cost of gas the benefits of low cost of gas is very small compared to what we could be reaping in the long run. So as I kind of wrap things up here today, I'm just going to review some of my main points. First off, everybody loves cheap gas, but you got to think about who it's benefiting. And secondly, the shale oil industry was huge, but because of the decline in gas, we lost many, many middle-class jobs, and it kind of set us back a while. And thirdly, many, many jobs are dependent in the future upon shale oil. So as I kind of leave you here today, I just want to say, next time you're filling up your car, think about the potential economic growth from shale oil jobs creation. It would be a far greater boost to our economy than the short-term benefits of lower gas prices.